This is what Talarico wants the border to look like, and if we keep electing Democrats, sure will. They tried to sell him as some sort of moderate, but in reality, far from it.
He's fundamentally unserious. And the thing that I think is most insulting about all of it is he does all of it, and then he wraps himself in the Bible. I don't think this is going to go over very well anywhere, but especially not in Texas.
Aside from the incredibly eerie and creepy glee with which the right-wing media in this country takes at getting a new target that they get to take down with just total misrepresentations and lies, if this is how much they're freaking out about James Talarico and his election victory in the primaries over Jasmine Crockett, you know he must be doing something right.
James Talarico is not simply a far-left activist who's never worked a real job in his life, although he is that. He's not simply a creepy-looking heretic and fake pastor who pathologically lies to Christians over and over again about what Scripture says. Now, James Talarico is all those things, as we'll discuss in a moment, but he's also completely insane. He genuinely makes Jasmine Crockett out to be totally normal. In a race between the two of them, she is actually the normal and moderate one by comparison. That's how bad this guy is.
They are straight up already, just because Jasmine Crockett is out, calling her normal compared to him. When they got their panties so twisted into so many bunches that they had very bunchy panties, they made her seem like she was the worst thing to ever come to Congress. And now she's normal and he's the freak.
I fear even playing these kind of clips. I feel like we'll curse the show by playing such blasphemous clips such as this.
The angel comes down and asks Mary if this is something she wants to do. And she says, if it is God's will, let it be done. Let it be. Let it happen. So to me, that is an affirmation in one of our most central stories that creation has to be done with consent. You cannot force someone to create. Creation is one of the most sacred acts that we engage in as human beings. But that has to be done with consent. It has to be done with freedom.
Is heresy. It's blasphemous. He's on the Joe Rogan show. I mean, I'm surprised there wasn't a lightning strike. It's some of the worst stuff I've ever heard. I mean, it's not only bad theology, it's like straight up demonic.
They're calling him James Talarico. They're very bad at these names. But let's take a look at a clip from Newsmax, and also please take note of how Newsmax cuts off the clip about the welcome mat at a very interesting point.
Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front.
A giant welcome mat, Chris.
Well, the guy, I mean, he's already known as Telefrico, and the videos of this guy doing these pseudo sermons, these left-wing fake religion sermons, he said that God is non-binary. God is non-binary. That men get pregnant and will need abortions at taxpayer expense. And he uses fake sermons and fake passages from the Bible, tortured and misrepresentations from the Bible. And honestly, it's God is non-binary, and that the Bible clears the path for abortion, and men get pregnant because there is no gender. And when we open the borders, he's an open borders guy, and let's have 7.5 billion people come into the United States and go on welfare, presumably in Minnesota. This guy is a freak.
Of course, every accusation from these folks is some sort of confession, but before I show you whether this man is a freak or not, and you can be the judge, let's look at that same welcome mat clip, but with just 3 seconds extra of the sentence that Newsmax entirely cut off. And in this one, I'll even show the full clip from Laura Ingraham on Fox, who at least showed the extra couple of seconds.
Wants to throw the border wide open again, bringing in more threats to America.
Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front and a lock on the door.
A lock that never used.
If you were not trying to lie to your viewers, trying to mislead them, why wouldn't you show the full sentence the person said, but instead cut it off with a comma that makes them think the exact opposite of the truth? How could you in good conscience do it? How could you be allowed to broadcast that and call it news? How could that not receive fines for complete misrepresentation of factual world events? Well, it's because our news media is long gone, and the administration that would enforce it is long bought and sold by a bunch of people that are perfectly aligned with this sort of shenanigans, chicanery, and other words that mean they're just not being cool and they're doing stuff for their own benefit. while screwing you over. But back to whether Talarico is a freak or not. Does this sound like a freak to you?
The Bible doesn't mention abortion or gay marriage, but it goes on and on about forgiving debt, liberating the poor, and healing the sick. Christian nationalists like to say this is a Christian nation. Not only is that historically inaccurate, not only is that theologically blasphemous, but it's also just not true. Look around us. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would forgive student debt. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would guarantee health care to every single person. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would love all of our LGBTQ neighbors. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would make sure every child in this state and in this country was housed, fed, clothed, educated, and insured. If this was truly a Christian nation, we would never make it a Christian nation, because we know the table of fellowship is open to everybody, including our Buddhist, Hindu, Jewish, Muslim, Sikh, and atheist neighbors. Jesus could have started a Christian theocracy, but love would never do that. The closest thing we have to the kingdom of heaven is a multiracial, multicultural democracy. Do you ever notice that it's the politicians who talk the most about being a Christian who are the least Christ-like? You can't call yourself a Christian and deny health care to the sick. You can't call yourself a Christian and vote to cut food stamps for the poor. You can't call yourself a Christian and reject the stranger seeking asylum at our southern border. You can't call yourself a Christian and destroy God's creation with greenhouse gases. And you can't call yourself a Christian and discriminate against your neighbor because of their race, gender, or sexual orientation. I personally know plenty of Hindus, Buddhists, Jews, Muslims, Sikhs, and atheists who are more Christ-like than some of the self-proclaimed Christians serving in elected office.
He makes a strong point. If we were a Christian nation, if Jesus Christ has anything to do with what Christianity is, which it's hard to tell anymore, but he definitely didn't teach the opposite of those. He taught that you must take care of the poor, you must take care of those in need, you must accept those who are seeking refuge, you must take care of the planet, you must do all in your power to help the needy, help the poor, help the sick. The exact opposite of the Republican Party platform. And he makes the last point, which is also well said, that true Christianity would never want one nation with one religion. They would want people to be able to choose from a spectrum of religions and select the one that they identify most with, not be forced into one by a nation that makes you toe the line of a particular religious ideology, otherwise you're cast out of society. It should be pretty obvious, but again, people get very confused when money's on the line. So of course they're using religious and culture war issues instead of attacking the actual substance of the actual policies of Talarico, because they know they can scare their viewers, they can scare their voting base into electing more Republicans into office, and if they spoke on the actual issues, they might actually like this very reasonable, very centrist overall person. But when does that ever matter to today's modern media landscape? And Talarico's got momentum behind him. The Democrats could ride that momentum. He's generated a lot of it by being a progressive and a Christian at the same time, something the Democratic Party could learn a lot from. And it's a brilliant way to push back against the Christian nationalism and fundamentalist Christian beliefs that Donald Trump and his allies are trying to push on you. But at least the leader at the very top is a very devout Christian himself. What? I'm sorry, I'm being told Donald Trump is not Christian at all in the way he has lived his life and can't name one Bible passage and pretends to pray for political and financial gain, I'm being told.
This is not some, attack on James Talarico by, right-wing hacks. These are his own words.
I'm Ben Gleib for Rebel HQ. Can you tell the difference between fact and fiction? Hopefully we helped you a little bit in this video. You can follow me at Ben Gleib on Instagram for lots more, including comedy videos unrelated to politics, for a break we all need.